So you have the discounting technique, which is about calculation of present value of future cash flows. So you're calculating the present value of money. And then you have the compounding technique, or you're calculating the future value. Now, under the discounting technique, we have done, broadly speaking, two cases. One where you have a single cash flow or unequal cash flows, and then you did the case where we had equal cash flows and we were using the present value tables. Here we were making use of the PVIF table, and with equal cash flows we use the annuity table, which is the PVAF table. So we solved few questions on both these concepts. Today we come to the compounding technique. Now, compounding technique is nothing but calculation of the expected cash flow using the concept of compound interest. So, what is compound interest? That the interest received in 1 year or at the end of 1 year then becomes part of the principal amount that is reinvested the next year and is reinvested the next year. So जो इंटरेस्ट के ऊपर दोबारा आप इंटरेस्ट अर्न करते हो, दैट इज कंपाउंडिंग ऑफ इंटरेस्ट. So keeping this principle in mind, we calculate the future value of money. The basic formula remains the same, that future value or is equal to the cash flow or the present value into 1 plus I raised to the power n. So one thing to very clearly remember is that we always multiply the table values. Never will we divide the table values with the cash flow, because this is one of the common mistakes that students make in the exam. कि जब present value calculate कर रहे हैं, then they divide the expected cash flow with the discount factor. That is not to be done. आपकी table value यहाँ पर is this part. When you are compounding, you are calculating the future value. This compound factor or future value factor, FVF or FVIF, this term is given to you in the table. And when you calculate the present value, then present value is nothing but future value into 1 plus I raised to the power n. I've just separated the terms. And your present value factor is this term. So this factor you get from the table, and hence there's no need to divide this. You have to multiply this present value factor with the cash flow given. So for clarity sake, to remember it easily, चाहे present value का question हो चाहे future value का, table value को हमेशा multiply करना है. So remember this, don't get confused. Only multiplication of the table value is required. So moving ahead, we will again take the case of equal and unequal cash flows. So when calculating the future value, again you have the case of single cash flow, unequal cash flows, and then the third case will be the case of equal cash flows. So we use the future value interest factor table here when we have the first two cases, and here we will be using the future value annuity factor table. So whenever you come across a question, the first thing we need to decide is whether we need to calculate the present value or future value, and second, which case is it, so that we can narrow down on the table that needs to be used. So I'll come to the questions on future value of money, and the first question is there on your screens. Mr. X invested 10,000 at the beginning of year 1 at the rate of 10% compounded annually. So now my amount invested is 10,000. My interest is 10% compounded annually. And in the question, we have been asked what amount of money he will receive after the end of first year, second year, and third year of his investment. Now, Mr. X is investing 10,000 at the beginning of year 1. This means that he is investing at the end of year 0. Beginning of year 1 means end of year 0, and you need to calculate the future value at the end of year 1, 2 and 3. So जब 1 ईयर के लिए कैलकुलेट करें तो इन्वेस्टमेंट इतने टाइम के लिए हुई है. Here the investment is for 2 years, and here the compounding or the investment is for 3 years. So this is a question on future value of money. Future value is equal to present value or cash flow into 1 plus I raised to the power n. So year 1 की value you can easily calculate year 1, year 2 and year 3 values. Solve and tell me what the answer is coming to. Pick up the FVIF table. If you want, you can use your calculator also, but it is more convenient to use the table. So simply जो आपकी table value है, just to revise, we move back to the table. Single cash flow का table है यहाँ पर. तो अब आप okay, this is the present value factor table. I try and look for future value, present value of future annual. Okay, FVIF table I am having here. So this is the table that you are using. In this table, end number of periods. So 1, 2 and 3. We need these 3 values. For first year 1.100, 1.210 and 1.331. So you are using these values to multiply 10,000. So what is the answer coming to?
11,000.
11,000, 12,100 and 13,310. Absolutely right. Okay, so this is how we have used the table values to calculate the future value of a single cash flow. Next, we come to a question on future value of unequal cash flows. So again, we are using the same table, FVIF table, and here we have a question before us. Mr. X invested 10,000, 5,000, and 2,000 at the starting of first year, second year, and third year. So again, if starting of first year means end of year 0, year 1, and year 2. I am taking all the cash flows at the end of the year, which means I need to calculate the future value at this point of time for 10,000 invested at the end of year 0, 5,000 invested at the end of year 1, and 2,000 invested at the end of year 2. So here 1 year के लिए compounding होगी, 2 year and 3 years. You need to add the future value of all these cash flows. So okay, good. Rest of you also solve. Please show the working properly in the solution. Okay, the amounts are changing. I'll just correct that. Is everyone getting the same answer? 21,500 and
580.
580, 560. Uh, Tanmay, it's 560 for you.
Mama calculated using the financial calculator. I think
Okay.
there would have been some mistake.
So approximately you will be getting closer to this value. It's fine if you are using that, but you're not allowed to use that in your main exam. So learn
Okay.
how to calculate using tables. That will help you more. Okay. So everyone, this is the final answer. If you're getting 5, 10, 15, 20 rupees closer to this value, it is fine. Your solution is absolutely correct. There might be minor differences because of the table values that we are using. So that doesn't make your answer incorrect. So single cash flow, unequal cash flow, we use FVIF table. Now we come to a case of equal cash flows where we will be using the annuity factor table. So this question says that Mr. X has invested an amount of 10,000 each at the end of first year, second year, and third year. So for 3 years, Mr. X is investing the same amount. Calculate the compound value of his investment at the end of third year if the interest is provided at a rate of 10% compounded annually. So, if you read it very carefully, then in this question, basically you are given two cash flows that need compounding because 110,000 is being invested here, one here, and one here, and then you are calculating the future value at this point of time. So, which means this 10,000 will be as it is, plus the future value. If you take the normal table, so this will be 10% into 1 year here, or you can simply use the annuity table. When you are using the annuity table, then you have three cash flows. N will be 3. So then when we move to, wait, I am not having the table here. So I'll use the book value. So when you open the FVAF table, future value annuity factor table, which was shared with you, then you will move under 10% and your N will be 3 years. So now I'll go back to the question, and here, including the last year's cash flow, your future value annuity factor 10% for 3 years into 10,000. This will give you your final answer. So I think we have got the answer. What about the others? Please post your answer in the chat box. Same. So this is coming to 33,100. Yes, Tanvi.
Ma'am, if we have used the formula instead of the table, then we have to calculate for first and the second year, and for the third year, we only add 10,000,
Add the
ma'am.
amount, yes.
Okay.
Okay, and if you are using annuity table, then you have three cash flows. So then there you will be using the FVA factor for 3 years. Okay,
Okay,
so
ma'am.
these were the simple questions on future value and present value of money. Now we will move to some more applications and other cases that will be covered under this topic. So we start with the next concept, and with this comes the concept of effective rate of interest. So the questions which we have solved till now, we have had the annual compounding, or the rate of interest was paid annually. Now the effective rate of interest is the annually compounded rate of interest that is equivalent to an annual interest compounded more than once a year. So now if in the question you have compounding of interest, say semi-annually और क्वार्टरली और मंथली, तो उस केस में उसका इक्विवेलेंट जो एनुअल रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट होगा, दैट इज द इफेक्टिव रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट. So how do we solve questions where the interest is not paid annually and there is some variation? The number of times the compounding is done is more than once a year. So let's start with the first example that we have. Mr. X has invested 10,000 now for 3 years at the interest rate of 10% per annum compounded semi-annually. तो जब कंपाउंडिंग होगी तो जो आपका इंटरेस्ट है वो अकॉर्डिंगली लोअर हो जाएगा. तो अगर सेमी एनुअल कंपाउंडिंग है तो 2 बार ही इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा ईयर में. इफ इट इज quarterly, 4 times. If it is monthly, then 12 times the interest is given. But this means that the number of periods will also increase accordingly. So now your number of periods will be n into 2, if quarterly n into 4, and if monthly n into 12. This is how we deal with the concept of multiple compoundings in a year. So we'll start with this question. So the cash flow, the amount is 10,000. Your years, the interest 10%, but now the compounding is semi-annually. So now n will be 3 into 2, 6 periods. When we solve this question, we are looking in the table for n equal to 6. Now we need to calculate the future value here. You can clearly see, find out the amount he will get after 3 years. So my future value will be equal to 10,000 into the single cash flow. So FVIF table. Now not 10%, but your effective rate is 5%. तो आप टेबल वैल्यू आप 5% की देखोगे और जो आपके नंबर ऑफ ईयर्स होंगे दैट विल बी number of periods will be 6. So now you can check what is the answer coming to. Please make the correction there, solve it carefully and see what is the answer coming to. Yes, absolutely right. So this is coming to 13,401 or 400 approximately. So this amount of 10,000 with semi-annual compounding will grow to 13,400 after 3 years. Okay, I hope, yes, Tanvi.
Ma'am, can you please explain why is it 5% of interest?
जब 10% आपका इंटरेस्ट है पूरे ईयर का और आपका जो एक्चुअल में 5% एक फर्स्ट टाइम इंटरेस्ट होगा, उसके बाद आपका इंटरेस्ट जो टोटलिटी में आपको मिलेगा दैट विल बी मोर देन 5%. I'll explain this to you. Wait, I'm sorry, the screen got just a second. Okay, so what happens is that if you start with 10,000, this means कि अगर 10% रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट था तो आफ्टर 6 मंथ्स आपको 5% रिटर्न मिलेगा इस अमाउंट पे, क्योंकि जो 10% रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट था दैट वाज फॉर द एंटायर ईयर. फॉर हाफ ईयर इट मीन्स 5%. so you get 500 rupees as return on this investment after 6 months. Now what happens is that this 500 is not given to the investor. This 500 is added to 10,000 and next 6 months you get return on 10,500. तो अब इस पर आपको 5% रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा. इसका मतलब क्या होता है? इफ आई कैलकुलेट दिस वैल्यू, तो दिस कम्स टू 525. अगले 6 मंथ्स में आपको 500 नहीं 525 मिलेगा. इसका मतलब पूरे ईयर में जो आपको रिटर्न मिला है, instead of 1000 rupees you are getting 1025. Tanvi, instead of 10% interest, what have you earned? What has been your effective rate of interest? It has been 10.25%. इससे इन्वेस्टर को फायदा हुआ.
Yes.
यस, क्योंकि अब उसको 6 महीने बाद इंटरेस्ट के ऊपर इंटरेस्ट मिला है. So this is what is the concept of effective rate of interest. If the compounding would have been done annually, he would have received 10% return and rupees 1000 as return at the end of year 1. But because of semi-annual compounding, the effective rate of interest annually has increased to 10.25%. I hope this is clear as a concept to everyone, that what do we mean by effective rate of interest. So I'll take up another question on this. So you can take up this question. Now here the rate of interest is 12%, but compounded quarterly. So there are 4 quarters in a year. So now my effective rate of interest per quarter is coming to 3%, whereas number of periods for this question will be 3 into 4, 12. So using this, take up the table values. Again, SVIF table will be used. Please calculate what is the future value coming to. So what about others? I have one answer in the chat box. Rest of you also put the answer. Yes, fast. Okay, so everyone is getting the same answer as 14,258. So again, net effect, अगर आप ऐसे interest calculate करोगे तो interest will come out to be much more than 12%. So calculation of effective rate of interest, that we'll take up in the next class, and we will see how